because we're project managing the Spirits of Our Communities Day for our headquarters office next week. But I told Julie I wouldn't miss this for the world, so I'm so glad to be here today. So before I talk about Serve 360 and the skills-based volunteer goals and some of the new resources and tools that we'll have available come next week, I wanted to help put some of this in perspective. I fundamentally believe that as we work to achieve these skills-based volunteer goals that we have as a company, that will literally be transforming the way that nonprofit organizations are able to better serve their community. So it's estimated that there are over 10 million nonprofit or charitable organizations across the world. And these are organizations very similar to those that you've heard about today, like Clean the World and World Central Kitchen. They represent all different communities and different focus areas, and they're at the heart of solving some of the most critical issues. Now, they're all big and small and everything in between, and they're all really unique. But right now, it's estimated that 80% of these organizations engage volunteers in some level of service work, so 4 out of every 5. And while they're all very unique and all different sizes, they all have one common thing. And that one common theme is that they all have too few resources of time, talent, and treasure. It's also estimated that 70% of the staff who work at these organizations do not have the resources that they need to fulfill their missions. So, as a result, a lot of these organizations, they don't always have the capacity to serve their communities with the services that they have. But I also believe that with every challenge, there's like an equal opportunity to support this. And so as a company that's in 130 countries, I believe that we have a tremendous opportunity to really support these organizations so that they can better serve their communities. And that opportunity comes with being able to share our professional skills, professional academic and trade skills to uplift these organizations to have a greater capacity to serve these communities. And when we talk about serving with time and treasure, or time, talent, and treasure, what I really want to focus on is the talent. And when I talk about talent, what I'm really talking about are those professional academic skills and being able to share that with these same communities. And so, as Charlie said, I was on the stage last year, and I had an opportunity to talk about something that I was really excited and passionate about, and that was the piloting of skills-based volunteer, a toolkit that we'll be rolling out here shortly. So I have 2 fantastic announcements. Last year we concluded 4 pilots, and they were wildly successful. And the second announcement that I'm really excited for is, as a result of these successful pilots, we actually have a skills-based toolkit that we'll be launching in 6 days' time from now on Spirits of Our Communities Day on May 22nd. And again, that's a result of these successful pilots and the work that was done in these different communities. So, thank you. And so we had 4 pilots, and that included the Calgary Marriott Downtown, the London Heathrow Marriott, which was last year's Alice S. Marriott honoree, Marriott International Global Headquarters here in Bethesda, and we also had the Orange County Business Council's Junior Business Council, also known as the Next Gen Business Council, participate. And so I'm going to hit each of these pilots just very briefly, but I also want to say that each of these pilots have a success story that will be in this toolkit, and I would encourage each of you to either take a look at this or put this toolkit in the hands of the Take Care champion or the Serve 360 champion, or that person who will be championing the skills-based work on property. So with the Calgary Marriott Downtown, they supported their local nonprofit. It's called In From the Cold. And In From the Cold, they work to uplift those who are currently living in poverty. And so the Calgary Marriott Downtown, they provided an events planning and management skills sharing workshop for this organization's fundraising group so that they could fundraise better at their different events. The London Heathrow Marriott, they supported their longtime partner called National Citizen Service, and they hosted a youth-based competition where they had an opportunity to focus that competition on common business challenges. And this competition was designed to develop both the soft skills and the employability of these youth. And then here at Marriott headquarters, we had our culinary team, which supported an after-school program. And this is a national organization called After School All-Stars, but they supported the DC chapter. And this skills sharing activity, it engaged about a dozen youth, where they had an opportunity to come out to our corporate headquarters, into our test kitchen, and they were able to compete in this competition in pairs alongside with our culinary team. And so this really reinforced a lot of the hard skills that these youth had, or that they were already learning from this culinary program that they were enrolled in. But then they also developed new skills. They were able to hone some of these soft skills like communication and teamwork and emotional intelligence while working with our culinary professionals. And so again, this is part skills development and also career immersion. Now, while they all did fantastic work, I really want to focus on what the Next Gen Business Council did, because I believe that the business councils are one of the main drivers of community service. As Julie Roby talked about, 40% of all the volunteer engagement is a result of the work that you guys are really pushing. So the Orange County Business Council, or the Next Gen Business Council specifically, they supported a local nonprofit neighbor called Human Options. And Human Options, they work with survivors of abuse by providing empowerment workshops. They have a shelter, and they also have a 24/7 hotline. The Next Gen Business Council, while working with Human Options, identified common themes between Marriott's hospitality philosophy and the Human Options housing services they provide with their shelter. And by choosing Human Options, they focused on having their engineer team work with Human Options to develop an organizational maintenance plan. And so through this skill sharing opportunity, they addressed two needs. There was an immediate need and then the long-term need. And so what they did to address the immediate need was to do on-site repair, and they also did a furniture drive. And so the furniture drive, they were able to collect about 30 pieces of furniture, such as drawers and dressers that would go into the shelter. But then for the long-term need, they actually provided a skills sharing opportunity or workshop where their maintenance team was able to learn from our Marriott engineers on how to effectively do maintenance year-round using a plan. And so this was a perfect example of being able to share skills with an organization so that they could better do it, they could do it more effectively, saving them time and money in the long run. And so I share these stories and I share my beliefs about skills-based volunteering to say that we're transforming the way that these organizations are serving their community. And I really want to reinforce one fact, and that's while we are working towards these goals of achieving 50% of all volunteer activities as being skills-based in nature, it's more than just a number. That goal and the work to achieve that goal is truly changing the way that nonprofits are going to be able to serve their community in a more positive fashion. And I also share that because I think in order to achieve that goal and transform how communities are being served, we also have to start reimagining how we do service work. And so before we go further into this presentation, you might also be wondering, well, where are we with this 50% goal? And so I'll show the progress that we've made over the last 2 years. The skills-based percentage between year-end 2017 and year-end 2018, it's stayed pretty steady at about 28%. So that means that we're over the halfway mark in achieving that 50% goal. And this is great news. It's great news because we're over the halfway mark, but also this establishes a natural baseline. And this natural baseline is great because from this point moving forward, we can start to really track to see where are we making progress and how are we making progress. And so we expect that for 2019 and for the years to come after we adopt this toolkit, that we can expect that this 28% will increase incrementally. And so the 4 skills-based toolkits that were successful in 2018, this is just the beginning. And so, come next week, once the toolkit is launched, I really believe that we'll start making really good progress. All right, so let's talk about this toolkit for a second. It's going to exist on MGS. It'll be under Serve 360 tools and resources. And you can also do a keyword search through MGS with something to the effect of skills-based volunteerism or some variation of that language. And this toolkit, and brace yourselves for this for a second, it's over 30 pages, but it's 30 pages because it actually takes an associate through the full life cycle of research, vetting, planning, and execution. And so come next week, this will be downloadable, and it'll be easily pulled off the shelf and just ready to put in the hands of that director or manager of human resources, or that Take Care or Serve 3 champion, or Serve 360 champion, or the sustainability or Serve 360 chair for your council. And I also wanted to show you, so again, 30 plus pages, but I just want to show you this little snippet, and I don't expect that you're going to be able to read everything off these slides, so I'll tell you about what's on them. But this is just sort of a flavor of what you can expect in there. Obviously, there's going to be a table of contents so that it'll help those who are using this toolkit to be able to better navigate the sections that are most relevant for them at the time. Again, understanding that there's more than 30 pages and that there is a spectrum in how people are already serving the community. So it's not every page is going to be immediately relevant. There's also educational information about what skills-based volunteerism is, and then to help people understand, well, that's professional, academic, and trade skills. There's also guidance on how to scope and size out the different projects to help people manage the expectations on how long it's going to take to plan and execute. There's also workshop portfolios. So you'll be able to see sort of a menu of the types of volunteer opportunities or the types of volunteer projects that people can create. So on this slide, what you see is workforce readiness, but there are other menu items that really talk about culinary or customer service or hospitality and how those types of skills would be beneficial to certain organizations. There's also communication samples, so when you're doing an outreach to these organizations, there's the flavor of what you're going to put into an email body, or when you're going to pick up the phone, you have an idea of the type of message that you can craft. And then also, we have to report this. I cannot stress enough that in order for us to be able to achieve these goals, we have to know that we're making progress towards them. And so just report it, and you're going to see just report it as sort of like a staple in this toolkit and everywhere else, but there's going to be some information about just report it and how people can track this progress. And so I keep talking about reimagining volunteer service. And I want to acknowledge first and foremost that we're already doing skills-based volunteering. That's everything from your general manager who might be sitting on the board of directors, or it could be a line cook who is doing a job shadow, right? And then there's everything in between that. But I just want to help draw a contrast between skills-based and the traditional episodic forms of volunteerism. And I just want to use a quick story. So here in the DC area, we support an organization. It's called DC Central Kitchen. It's very similar to World Central Kitchen, but they support here the greater DC area. And they're at the heart of fighting poverty and food insecurity here in the area. And I was at a reception where their CEO, Michael Curtin, was delivering a speech. And Michael Curtin, he said something to the effect of, we're not going to feed our way out of hunger. If that were the case, we would have done it by now. And what he was really referring to was a disconnect in society. And that disconnect in society being an assumption that we just have to cook and serve more food to uplift people out of poverty and hunger. But Michael Curtin, like many others, like myself, I think the vision that we have is that solving hunger and poverty, it'll come when we're able to empower people to get themselves out of poverty. And that comes through upskilling them as a population and then helping them get jobs. And it's directly to what we're already doing with the Empower Through Opportunity coordinate. So in this specific slide, you see two sides of this, right? So on the left-hand side, that's Chef Jennifer O'Brien. She works in our culinary team at Marriott headquarters. And that photo right there is actually at DC Central Kitchen, where she is providing a safe food preparation course to these program participants using her professional academic skills. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, also at DC Central Kitchen, but this is actually just Marriott Associates during Spirit Serve Our Communities Day, and they're doing the more traditional episodic food packaging that doesn't necessarily require a specialized skill. And so what I want to impart on the folks today is that we need to start thinking about the skills base and start making the space to deliver on that type of volunteer service. So I know that traditional forms of volunteerism, they're always going to be a necessity. So that's serving in the soup kitchen, that's working to plant trees with your parks and recs. It's also building hygiene kits with organizations like Clean the World. Matter of fact, we're going to be doing some hygiene kit builds for Clean the World come next week. That type of service work, it'll always exist. But I think we also have to start making space to create these opportunities where we're also sharing our skills with these organizations so they can better meet their community where they're at. And this can all be done by sharing our skills and more importantly, or just as important I should say, adopting the toolkit come next week. So I talked about two things. I talked about how this is good for Marriott goals under Serve 360, and also how this is going to be good for the community. But it's also good for our associates. According to research by Glassdoor, which is a large online job-seeking website, employees that are engaged in skills-based volunteering, they report an increase in work-related hard skills. But in addition to that, they also have an opportunity to develop their own soft skills. Like I said, communication, being able to manage other people, emotional intelligence. These soft skills are necessary for that upward mobility, especially for emerging leaders in our company. And in addition to job skills, and according to further research by an organization called True Impact, True Impact is an organization that studies the benefits of volunteer engagement. And so according to this study, employees that are engaged in skills-based volunteering, they're 47% more likely to report higher job satisfaction ratings than those who are only engaged in traditional and episodic forms of volunteer engagement. So when I say that I believe that business councils are one of the main drivers, I absolutely believe that. Not only do I see it in the data, but I also hear that by just talking with each and every one of you. Whether it's Reggie, or whether it's Katarina Burns, or whether it's John Garfield, and hearing the passion and the work that he wants to drive for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You guys are doing incredible work in the markets. And again, each of you, because you're the leaders of the business councils, you guys play a critical role in helping us achieve our company's objectives. And so beyond today, I encourage each of you to continue thinking about the specialized skills that are held within your business councils. And I'd also ask that each of you adopt this toolkit come next week. I do believe that by doing so, we'll be well on our way to achieving that 50% goal. And as we're working to achieve that goal, I would also ask and encourage each of you, or that person that you designate to use that toolkit, to provide me feedback. This is a first go at it, and I know, matter of fact, that over the next 5 years, as we work to achieve these goals, that we'll need to fine-tune it, make it more turnkey. And so everything that I do moving forward will be based on the feedback that I get from operators. Because if it doesn't work for operators, then it doesn't work, period. And so know that I'm receptive to that, and I want that feedback. So again, I'm happy to be here, and thank you guys.